What if I told you that after years of fighting stubborn, visceral fat through menopause, the answer wasn't a new workout plan, a fancy supplement, or a starvation diet? It was one specific food that I started eating consistently, and within 8 weeks, my belly fat was measurably, visibly shrinking. I know what you're thinking. Claudia, that sounds too good to be true. And honestly, I thought the same thing. But I'm a researcher. I don't do hype. So today, I'm going to show you exactly what the science says, what I did, and the precise system I followed so you can decide for yourself if this is the missing piece you've been looking for. I will give you 2-step system, and you will burn that visceral fat in 8 weeks. Comment below where you're watching from, your age, and what the biggest problem you're facing during this period. I'm replying to every single one with personalized tips and advice. Step 1. The 8-week resistant starch protocol. Step 1 starts with one simple question. What actually destroys visceral fat in your body after 40? The answer is something called resistant starch. Let me make this simple. Regular starch, the kind in white bread and white rice and most cereals, breaks down fast in your small intestine. It turns into sugar. It spikes your blood sugar. It drives up your insulin, and it locks you into fat storage mode. This is the exact mechanism that gets worse in menopause. Your estrogen drop makes you more insulin resistant, so the same food that was fine at 35 is now sabotaging you at 54. Resistant starch is different. The starch chains are packed so tightly together that your digestive enzymes can't crack them open. They sail past your small intestine. No blood sugar spike, no insulin spike, no fat storage signal. Same calories on the label, completely different effect on your body. And then, in your large intestine, something magical happens. Your gut bacteria, the good ones, eat this resistant starch as food. They ferment it, they multiply. As they do, they produce compounds that reshape your entire metabolism. Compounds that lower inflammation, compounds that improve insulin sensitivity, compounds that, in the studies we're going to look at, literally pull visceral fat off your body. Resistant starch is hiding in foods you already know: green bananas, cooked and then cooled potatoes, cooked and then cooled rice, cooked and then cooled beans and lentils, oats. But here's the trap. The minute you cook a potato hot and eat it hot, the resistant starch is almost gone. The minute you let a banana ripen yellow, the resistant starch turns into sugar. The minute you over-toast your oats, you destroy it. This is why most women over 40 think they're eating the right foods and getting nothing back. The food was right, the form was wrong. Right? Doesn't that explain a lot? You've been eating healthy carbs your whole life and wondering why your belly only gets worse.
The food wasn't lying to you. The cooking method was. Now, here's the next question your brain is already asking. Will this actually work in a menopause body? Because we all know things change after 40. The science has an answer, and it surprised me. Stay with me. In a few minutes, I'm going to give you the exact gram-by-gram dose schedule, week 1 through week 8. The thing most women get wrong on day 1 and end up quitting by day 10. Grab a pen now, because when we get to that part, you'll want to write it down. In 2024, a paper landed in Nature Metabolism, one of the most prestigious science journals in the world. The kind of paper that gets handed around between researchers for months before women like us ever hear about it. Here's what they did. They took 37 adults with a body mass index above 24, so already carrying extra weight, the kind of profile most of you watching this would recognize in your own mirror. They split the study into 2 phases. In one phase, the participants ate 40 grams a day of resistant starch. In the other phase, they ate the same number of calories of regular starch. 8 weeks each, 4 weeks of washout in between to reset the body. Here's why this study matters. It was double-blinded. That means neither the participants nor the researchers knew who was getting what. The bags looked identical, the taste was identical. Nobody could fake the result. Every single person served as their own control, eating both starches at different times. This is the gold standard, the cleanest possible study design. The result? Body weight drops significantly during the resistant starch phase. Average loss, almost 3 kilograms. Fat mass dropped, insulin sensitivity improved, inflammation markers went down across the board. But here's the part that hit me. They scanned the participants' bellies with magnetic resonance imaging before and after. The red zone in those scans, the dangerous visceral fat that wraps your organs and pumps inflammation into your bloodstream, shrank in 8 weeks with nothing but food. One participant lost 100 square centimeters of visceral fat in 8 weeks. Not subcutaneous fat, the soft kind under your skin, visceral fat, the kind that's killing women in menopause silently because nobody's measuring it. The mechanism driving visceral fat in menopause is the exact same mechanism the study was testing: insulin resistance, liver fat, microbiome dysfunction. Estrogen drops in perimenopause, and all three get worse at the same time. So if resistant starch fixes the upstream cause, it should work even harder in the body type with the most upstream damage, which is yours and mine. I'm 54, in menopause right now. The pattern matches the published data. The belly gets softer in the first 3 weeks. The waistband loosens in week 4 to 6. Real change shows up around week 8. Not magic, just biology. Now, before you run to the grocery store, there's a mechanism question you need to understand, because if you don't understand the why, you'll quit at week 3 when the bloating kicks in and assume it's not working. So next, let me show you exactly what's happening inside your body. Right after this, I'm giving you the full protocol, the dose, the foods, the supplement brand I trust, the cooking trick that turns regular potatoes into a fat burner. Everything you need, but do not skip this next part. If you don't understand the why, you'll do the protocol wrong, you'll get gassy in week 2, and you'll quit before week 4. That's how almost every woman over 40 fails this. Don't be her. So what's actually happening inside your body when you eat resistant starch? 3 things matter: insulin, your liver, your microbiome. These are the 3 levers that go off the rails in menopause. Resistant starch hits all 3 at once. Let's start with insulin. When you eat regular carbs, your blood sugar spikes fast. Your pancreas dumps insulin to bring it back down. Insulin, this is the part most women never hear, is your storage hormone. Insulin tells every cell in your body to lock energy away as fat. It's not your fault you can't lose belly fat after 40. Your insulin is high all day, and your body is locked in storage mode. Resistant starch breaks that loop. It doesn't spike blood sugar, so insulin stays low, so your cells get permission to release fat instead of storing it. The Nature Metabolism study showed insulin sensitivity improved across the board. That's lever 1. Now the liver. Your liver is your fat-burning factory, but when you've been eating processed carbs and seed oils for 30 years, your liver gets congested. It can't burn fat efficiently. 1 in 3 adults now has fatty liver disease, and most have no idea. Menopause makes it worse because estrogen used to protect your liver. After perimenopause, that protection is gone. When resistant starch reaches your colon, your gut bacteria produce short-chain fatty acids. Butyrate is the most famous one. Butyrate travels back through your bloodstream and goes straight to your liver. It tells your liver to stop storing fat and start burning it again. The factory wakes up, the bottleneck clears. That's lever 2. Now the third lever, the microbiome. This one is the most powerful, and it's where step 2 of our system lives, so pay attention. If you're getting value from this, please hit the like button, so every like you leave is a signal to the algorithm that this matters, and it helps me reach another woman who needs to hear it. Okay, moving on. When researchers took stool samples from the people who lost weight on resistant starch and transplanted those samples into mice with wiped-out microbiomes, the mice lost weight too. Same diet, same calories. The only difference was the bacteria. The bacteria did the work, not the willpower, not the calorie counting, the bacteria.
This is why I keep telling the women in my Fit Over 40 community that your hormones aren't broken. Your microbiome is just undersupported. Menopause didn't break your body, it changed the rules. The old approach stopped working. A new approach, this one, is what your body is actually asking for. Okay, now you know the why, let's get to the how. Here's exactly what I'd do if I were starting tomorrow. The practical protocol. Here's the practical 8-week protocol. I'm going to give you the exact dose, the exact foods, and the exact way I do this myself. First, the dose. The studies used 40 grams of resistant starch a day. That's the gold standard number. But I have to be honest with you, 40 grams is a lot. In a menopause body, jumping straight to 40 grams is a fast track to bloating, gas, and quitting in week 1. So here's how I'd actually do it. Start at 5 grams a day for the first week. That's about half a tablespoon of supplement or 1 small green banana in a smoothie. Increase by 5 grams every week. By week 4, you're at 20 grams. By week 8, if you tolerate it well, you can push to 30. I personally sit at about 20 to 25 grams a day. I'm not chasing the 40-gram number from the study. I'm chasing what actually works in real life, in a real menopause body, while my thyroid is acting up. That's the dose where I see results without the bloating. Now, where does the resistant starch come from? 3 sources. I use all 3 on rotation. Source 1, cooked and cooled potatoes. This is the cheapest, easiest source on planet Earth. Boil or bake your potatoes, then put them in the refrigerator for at least 12 hours, ideally 24. When they cool, the starch crystallizes into resistant form. A hot-baked potato has almost 0 resistant starch. The same potato, cooled overnight, has up to 10 times more. Eat them cold as potato salad or warm them up gently below 180 degrees Fahrenheit and the resistant starch stays intact. Boil it again and you lose it. This trick is free. Source 2, green bananas. Not yellow, not spotted, green. The greener the banana, the more resistant starch. As the banana ripens, the starch turns into sugar, so you want them firm and slightly tart. Drop 1/3 of a green banana in your morning smoothie with kefir, chia seeds, and a scoop of protein. That's about 5 grams of resistant starch right there. Source 3, a supplement. This is the easiest way to hit a clean dose without thinking. The studies used something called high amylose maize starch, sold under the brand High Maize 260. You can also use raw potato starch from Bob's Red Mill. Both work. 1 tablespoon is about 8 grams of resistant starch. Mix it into cold water, kefir, or yogurt. Never heat it. Heat kills it. Before we move on, if you have a question, drop it in the comments. I read every one. And here's the deal. In my next video, the top 3 questions with the most likes get answered by name. So ask yours. Or if someone already wrote the question you'd ask, like hers. Now here's the rule. Pair it with at least 1 tablespoon of olive oil or half an avocado at the same meal. The fat slows digestion and amplifies the effect on your gut bacteria. Add 1 cup of fermented food a day, like kefir or sauerkraut. This is the bridge to step 2. But before we get to step 2, I have to warn you about something. About 30% of people in the studies got almost nothing from this protocol. Their visceral fat barely moved. Their weight barely changed. Same dose, same food, same 8 weeks. Nothing. For decades, nobody knew why. Then, in 2025, Cell Metabolism cracked it open, and what they found is exactly why menopausal women, including you, need to know step 2 before you start step 1. One thing before we move on. Everything I share on this channel, the nutrition, the training, the tracking, it all lives inside my Fit Over 40 community. I put together a complete personal program. Diet, workouts, trackers. It's worth over $1,000. You can get all of it for $27 a month. We have women from age 40 to 85 inside. Open your phone camera and hold it over this QR code. Take 30 seconds to look around and come right back. We're not done yet.
Step 2. The Responder Conversion Protocol. In 2025, researchers published a follow-up in Cell Metabolism to answer one specific question: why do 30% of people get almost nothing from resistant starch? What they found is incredible. The answer was in the gut, but not in the way I expected. They identified one specific bacteria called Prevotella. In some people, Prevotella dominates the microbiome. It crowds out the bacteria that actually digest resistant starch. So when you eat resistant starch, Prevotella sits in your gut and does nothing useful with it. The starch passes through, your gut bacteria don't get the fuel, the whole protocol stalls. In simple terms, more Prevotella, less benefit. Less Prevotella, more benefit. The opposite is also true. There's another bacteria called Bifidobacterium pseudocatenulitum. That's a mouthful. Let's just call it BP for short. BP loves resistant starch. It eats it, multiplies, and produces the exact compounds that pull visceral fat off your body. People with high BP at the start of the study were the dramatic responders, the 58% liver fat reduction crowd, the MRI before and after group. Same protocol, same dose, two completely different outcomes. The difference was the bacteria the women started with. Here's where it gets serious. The researchers proved this isn't just correlation. They transplanted the gut bacteria from non-responders into mice, and the mice didn't respond either. They transplanted the gut bacteria from high responders into a different set of mice, and those did. Same diet, different bacteria, different result. So, your gut bacteria, the ones you have right now, determine whether step 1 of this system will work for you. And here's where menopause changes everything. Because we, the women over 40, are not starting from neutral ground. 3 independent studies have now shown that menopausal women are statistically more likely to have the wrong bacteria. Let me show you. A study published in M-Systems analyzed the gut microbiomes of over 2,000 women. They compared premenopausal and postmenopausal women head-to-head. The difference was striking. Postmenopausal women had significantly more Prevotella. Yes, the same Prevotella that blocks resistant starch from working. They also had less Akkermansia, a bacteria that helps regulate metabolism. And they had less of the bacterial family that includes the good bugs that respond to resistant starch. A separate review in the journal Nutrients confirmed the same pattern. Postmenopausal women shift toward a microbiome that's lower in beneficial bacteria and higher in inflammation-promoting bacteria. A third study found that in perimenopause, beneficial bacteria like Bifidobacterium drop sharply. Read between the lines. Your estrogen drops in perimenopause. As your estrogen drops, your microbiome shifts in the exact direction that makes you less able to benefit from foods like resistant starch. Menopause statistically pushes you toward the 30% non-responder group. This is the part the male-dominated health YouTube space never talks about, because the studies they reference were done on 33-year-old mixed populations, not us. I'm 54, I have a thyroid issue, I have insulin resistance. By every statistical measure, I should be in the non-responder group. And for years, I was. Things that worked for younger women didn't work for me, until I figured out step 2. Here's how you flip yourself from non-responder to responder in 2 weeks. The 2-week prep protocol. Here's the protocol. 2 weeks before you start step 1. This is the part nobody else is telling you, and this is where I diverge from every other resistant starch video on the internet. For 2 weeks before you touch a single gram of resistant starch, you're going to do 3 things. Together, they suppress Prevotella, feed Bifidobacterium, and rebuild a responder microbiome. First, fermented foods every single day, 1 cup. Pick from kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi,
plain unsweetened Greek yogurt, or pickled vegetables that are actually fermented, not just pickled in vinegar. These deliver live bacteria, including the bifidobacterium strains your gut is missing, foods that feed bifidobacterium every single day. The technical name for these fibers is galacto-oligosaccharides, but the foods are simple: garlic, onions, leeks, asparagus, lentils, chickpeas, black beans. Aim for 3 of these foods a day. A bowl of lentil soup with onion and garlic checks all 3 boxes in one meal. Third, cut the foods that feed Prevotella. This is the rule most women miss. Prevotella thrives on refined carbs and ultra-processed foods: white bread, breakfast cereal, crackers, sweetened yogurt, soda, pastries. For 2 weeks, these are out. Not forever, just for the prep window. Okay, let me make this dead simple. 2 weeks of prep. 3 rules. 1 cup of fermented food a day, kefir or sauerkraut. 3 servings of garlic, onion, lentils, or asparagus across the day. 0 refined carbs. No white bread, no cereal, no pastries. That's week 1 and 2. Done. Then, week 3, you start the resistant starch, 5 grams a day. That's 1 small green banana in a smoothie or 1 tablespoon of raw potato starch mixed into cold kefir. Add 1 serving of cooked and cold potatoes at lunch. Every week, you add 5 more grams. Week 4, you're at 10. Week 6, you're at 20. Stay between 20 and 25 from there. That's the sweet spot for a menopause body. Don't push higher unless your gut feels rock solid. Keep the fermented food going every single day. Keep the cooked and cooled foods on rotation. Pair every starch meal with olive oil or half an avocado. 8 weeks. Then you measure belly, waist, energy, sleep. 2 weeks of prep, 8 weeks of protocol, 10 weeks total. That's the whole system, nothing else. If you got something out of this, give it a like. If you didn't, give it a dislike. Either way, I know whether this one landed for you. Now go do it.